Welcome to EGH Bridge Cars. Today we're going to start trying to fit in that new dogleg section. The new piece is a little long on several areas, and that's purposely because they want you to be able to fit into any car. So variations in manufacturing, they make everything a little long, so it's a lot easier to make stuff shorter. So let's get started. So the first thing on my list of things to do is this. So from the original manufacturer, they had this edge is beaten down about 1/8 of an inch or so. So I want to try to, first I'm going to grind off some of this weld that's on there, but I want to get this flat again because the new piece has this lip on it, which the original did not. This is the original piece here. And that was just butted together. This one, this area is going to go underneath the existing up in the rear saddle area. So I'm going to work on that. I'm also, this is going to need to trim down these two wedges on the tab, otherwise it won't fit underneath. And once I get that fitted underneath, that'll give me a starting point to locate the rest of the part, because it's going to want to do that to some degree to get it to line up to wherever it's supposed to be. And it looks like these edges here, which fold over the top of the cockpit here, are all a little long, which is good because it's a lot easier to make things shorter. So I'm going to play with this for a little bit and then we'll get you guys back. So I was wrong about that. There was actually a tab under here that had just been cut off of this dog leg, and it actually went up in between these two pieces of metal, so I got it out of there. This thing, you can actually see it's all dimpled from the original hammering way back to here. So I'm going to flatten it out a little bit more, but then we'll see this new section will actually go up into here. So we'll see how much it needs to be trimmed from there. So I've been fettling this thing in, and I found that this is the bottom edge, that the edge towards the rear of the car, the fold was in the right place, but in the front it's 5/8 of an inch too far away. There's a gap like that. I put that up, and I don't know whether that's something that was bent incorrectly in this piece, but I also know that this piece is for the later TR3s. They don't make an early dog leg, they only make a later one. The rest of it seems to fit fine, so I'm going to rebend that angle. But it could very well be. I mean, I double checked this side here against the dimensions on the other side, because I had to build an awful lot of stuff here because it was just gone. But it is very, very close. It's like within 1/16 of an inch of what I can read on the other side, and that should be within tolerance, I would think, and not to be off by 5/8. So anyway, I'm going to go bend that up and see if we can get it to look better. Well, I managed to get the dog leg placed yesterday, and it's spot welded across here and down here. Also found a bunch of crash damage right here, that this edge was pushed over 1/3 of the way over, or there's a deep U. This was folded back on itself, which made this corner not fit. So it took me a long time. I had to cut it apart and straighten it out. Pain in the butt, but it got done. And I rebent the bottom flange here to make up for that taper. I think this is really a difference between a TR2 and the later cars, because all the body panels are for later cars. So I did that. I have not attached it here yet, but I've got some different electrodes coming for the spot welder, and I think I'll be able to reach it rather than trying to plug weld it. So we're leaving that for now. And now we've come to the doorpost. And I'm not sure exactly how this was tied on originally. This was full of lead all the way down. And it could have been they used the lead just to solder it. But I'm going to try and braze it. But first we need to push this tight, which means we need to get into here and push this channel in. And I've been doing that with this cold chisel that has a square end on it. I don't know how well you can see that. Oh, it is leaving little divots here. So I may try just using a slightly larger piece of steel. So anyway, let me get your camera set up and then we'll work on that a bit. So basically what's going on is this doorpost has in section the edge is like that with a zigzag. And the edge of this metal, this line is about at 30 degrees, whereas it's square behind. So, and this is not touching out here, which is what I wanted to do when I braze it. So what I'm trying to do is just sort of push that edge in. This is getting tighter right in here, and that's what we were looking for. And up here is another one of these spots where I think there's a difference. I do know on the TR3, this tab that sticks up, you can see my finger goes behind it. This is for that cockpit capping that goes here. It's a piece of aluminum U-shape that snaps down over this, and it's got padding and vinyl around it. And on the later cars, my understanding is that this is moved further back. So this would have gone in front of it, and of course this edge gets worked a bit more. It needs to lay down a little bit more, and then it gets folded over up here. If you can see that in the camera, maybe you can't. But anyhow, I digress. Get this piece fairly tight to that edge, and then I can probably put a small clamp on there just to hold it tight, and then we're going to try brazing it. So I'm going to get that set up and then we'll get back to you. Alright, so I've got this so it's sitting pretty tight to the post. Got this little clamp on just lightly because I don't want to dent the sheet metal. I've also put some paste flux down there, and now we just need to get some heat and brazing rod. It's not flowing super well in there, but put a little more flux in. See if that'll help. You want to make sure you get this piece in here warm, because there's more mass. That the sheet metal is pretty light, so it warms up pretty fast. And it should melt against the metal now. Oh, there it is. It's a little messy. It was fighting. There's actually still a fair amount of lead in the surface of this steel, so it kept coming up and kind of contaminating my joint. But it's not bad. I did find that with it open, I got it tacked a couple of places, and then I came back and folded that edge over and soldered or brazed some more, and that was pretty helpful. And hammered this area in tight, because that was not. But I think it ought to work. It'll be strong enough, and of course we'll need to put a little, Bondo on it before we put real paint on it. I'm just going to throw some primer on it now so it doesn't rust. Oh, I should mention too, I don't know if you can see, but right here in this gap, there's a piece of, it's like rope made out of wood fiber. That's it right there. You can see the end. So obviously with the heat it will start to smoke a little bit, but I just pull these two tabs back and popped it out. No big deal. But you might want to do that before you start, or at least I will next time. Anyway, so what we got left to do, I'm going to get the other bits for here. I'm going to spot weld this. But the placement looks pretty good. It lined up pretty well. It's surprising how uneven these bowl holes are, at least either the bowl holes or the slots are uneven, but they sort of shift around in them. But I suppose that's why they're wide. So we need to do that. And I got a little more hammering to do up here that this edge needs to be taken care of. This is too long right here. I need to trim that down. But overall, not bad. Just in case you're curious, here it is with a little bit of primer on it. Looks a lot better, doesn't it? So I hope you enjoyed that. Learned a little bit. If you happen to do a dogleg on your car, it's a lot of work. It really is. It's nothing really difficult, but it is fitting and getting everything to fit, particularly where the parts weren't exactly made for this car. I think at TS60,000, they changed from the original dies to a whole new set, and they incorporated many small changes in the body, one of which I know is that the area behind the seats in this car is sloped, and in the later car squares off like that, so they can put that occasional third seat in if you're carrying very small children. There's almost no room. Particularly me, I'm 6 feet tall, so I usually drive with the seats all the way back or maybe one notch forward. Doesn't leave a lot of space. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And nobody's been commenting a couple of weeks now. I've been getting lonely out here. And we'll see you next time.